Welcome to Soul Elevation, where you can guide your ascension to new heights. I'm your host, Kara Goodwin, and I'm so excited that you're tuning into this episode because we could all use an infusion of Katische Haberfield into our day. Prepare to be captivated as we dive into ghost rescue mediumship, revisit past lives, and learn about the Archangels she works with. There's a really important common thread throughout this discussion of working with dark energies, and I think it's important for all of us on the spiritual path. Katische Haberfield channels Archangel Zadkiel and is a medium, author, poet, past life regression therapist, and student of understanding the soul. She developed the happiest moments of my soul sessions after a discussion with Archangel Zadkiel, who instructed her that finding small moments of happiness was imperative for human beings at this time in our development. So we'll dive into this episode in just a moment, but first, I'm so excited to share about my book, Your Authentic Awakening, a guide to everyday spiritual living, which will be available this spring. This book is designed to help you reach new heights of spiritual awakening, and it's full of spiritual guidance, practical tools, and captivating personal stories, all working together to expand your consciousness and open your heart. Find out more on karagoodwin.com. And now, enjoy this episode. Welcome, Katish. I'm so excited to talk to you today. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity today.
Well, I can't wait to hear all your connections with the angels and how you've gotten on your journey. Let's start with how you came to be a channel and a medium.
Sure. So the channeling component has only been in the last year or so, and that has really dovetailed out of my work with the angels in past life regression therapy. The mediumship has been simmering in the background since I was a little child, really, but I wasn't very open to it at all, and I had a lot of obstacles to overcome to understand how to work with ghosts in particular first. And being a ghost rescue medium before I was able to actually open up to the traditional sense of mediumship. And as soon as I was able to cope with being able to communicate with ghosts and then a lot of negative entities and different types of things that obstruct souls, then I was able to hear the positive messages as well as the cries for help. So I see the light and the dark both work in tandem, and they've both been an important part of my journey because I needed to hear the cries of help, and then I needed to hear the messages of the angels, and I needed the service of both to be of service to others, if that makes sense.
Wow. So were you like the little boy in Sixth Sense, who was seeing dead people when you were little?
No, actually not at all. It actually came in with COVID. That really happened for me. However, I was surrounded by ghosts my entire life. And it was when I purchased this house that I live in, which is opposite a hospital, and opposite a soldiers' rehabilitation unit for soldiers who have been in Afghanistan and the Gulf War and all the different wars, that the ghosts started coming in. So it was a cataclysmic change for me, and it's through the explorations that I've done in my own past lives that I realized that I've been surrounded by ghosts since a small child, but that I wasn't hearing them or seeing them or doing anything like that. But it took until I bought this house to be confronted non-stop by them that I was like, okay, right.
Wow.
We're doing this. Yeah.
So what was the experience like for you when you moved into your house? How were you being confronted by these ghosts?
In multiple different ways, because when you have soldiers who go to war-torn areas, they experience a lot of trauma, obviously pain, a lot of suffering, shock. And, when we go to the light after we die, we are in a ghost-like form, and we're basically spirit, right? And we stay and we evaluate our lives. And when you're in a war zone, you've got things exploding all around you. You don't know how you died. One minute you're running or you're in a trench, and then the next minute you're above your body. And there's a lot of people dying at once, right? And so basically people stick together. Spirits stick together. And in war zones, basically what happens is, there's my buddy. I'll go towards him. I know his energy. And they bring with them ghosts from the war zone. And these can be ghosts through all different layers of time. So other battles long ago. And then they come back to their normal lives. They're maybe not coping with the trauma, the mental trauma from what they've seen, what they've been involved in. You know, they've got free will to be a soldier, but there's also no free will in the execution of the orders that they've got to do. And so they have this struggle as a human being. You know, I did my job, but this happened. And then they come to the hospital. And then when you have a soul contract that says, in this lifetime, you're going to be a ghost rescue medium, and they can see your light, the ghosts. And so they're like, hello, this woman knows how to deal with the angels. I'm going. And so that's sort of one of the ways that they came in, is basically anyone who is working in the spiritual field has a very bright light, and anyone who is a ghost rescue medium has an even brighter light, because for them it's dark, it's pure darkness. And so they see you as, they call me, and I know other guests on people's shows have called themselves, have been called the Lady of the Night. So you can hear them say, and I've heard them say it on recordings as well, hey, Lady of the Night, help me, I can't see the angel. And so because I know how to call in the angels and also how to cross them over myself, they know that you are a point of contact for saying, I'm ready, I've done my evaluation, and I want to go to the light, I just can't see it, can you help me?
Wow. Okay. So this ghost rescue mediumship, you've alluded to it, but you know, this is you basically helping disembodied souls who don't know how to get to the other side. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Yes. And I have a past life connection to this work, because like everybody, I'm Katish in this life, but in other lifetimes I have been a soldier. I have been in the military in many different capacities. I have been people in responsibilities, like in Viking lifetimes where I made decisions where lots of lives were lost, a king in a lifetime where I commanded troops. And so the way it's been explained to me was that in this lifetime, my first task, once I got through my own childhood, which was perfectly fine and normal, was to do the service, which was to cross over every single person that I had been responsible for that had not crossed over. And so for the first 3 years of moving into this house, I had a small portion of my time that was doing my own work and looking after my children and everything like that, who thankfully can't see ghosts, was basically all of my spirit guides telling me, you are going to connect with France today, and there are a certain number of soldiers with this surname, you're going to go and find them. And I would remotely connect, find them, cross them over. All right, now you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. Even to the point of, right, you're going to this cemetery, there is a child there, here's your task, you need to find them. Okay, go to the cemetery, find them. Right, we're going to send a whole team of angels, and you're going to see it in the clouds, and you're going to actually cross over not him but everybody else in the cemetery. And then you're going to get guidance, and you're going to hire a medium who knows nothing about this, and you're going to bring them through on the other side to prove it. So
wow. And that was you had to physically go to this cemetery, or this was telepathically? Because I'm imagining the France was telepathic, right?
Telepathic, yeah. So they've been trying to teach me different levels of skills, and also to overcome the fear of it. Do you know what I mean? Because I have never been somebody who's interested in ghost hunting. And I've also been somebody who's been very sensitive since a child. So I cry very easily. I'm very emotional. I'm an empath. I can feel what people are going through. So I can feel the energy of an area. There are certain areas I won't go to because I can feel the energy. Certain places I won't go to at night. So you could never imagine me going to a cemetery for fun to check out ghosts, right? I go to cemeteries to capture the light and the beauty of, say, the sunlight going through a Gaelic cross, and, you know, catching spectacular fog and things like that. Because for me, being afraid of the dark and being afraid of the things that go bump in the night and having lots of experiences with negative entities as a child meant that I have that sort of scaredy cat aura. But then as a grown-up, they're like, radio, it's time to confront your fears. Here are the different levels that we need you to appreciate this. And your bonus will be the more that you confront your inner demons, so to speak, your inner fears about your skills and who you are, and the fact that you're not a university professor anymore. You are the new version of Katish. You are a middle-aged woman. You are coming into your, not powers, that's the wrong word, recognizing your abilities to help and be of service. So yes, we want you to do it telepathically and remotely, but yes, we want you to confront your fears of doing it in a cemetery as well. And yes, we know you're a person of rigor and analysis, so we want you to prove it as well, so that you know beyond doubt that what you're doing is correct, because we don't want you to be afraid in the middle of the night that you go on a podcast and say, I can rescue ghosts, and then, go and have a good old vomit because the fears come up and you're like, I'm a fake. We want you to be rock solid in it. And your bonus will be that the more you clear that fear out of your system, the brighter your light will be, and then you can use your receptacle to be a channel for the angels and the archangels, and we will assist you more and more and more in the spiritual work that you do through the regression therapy, hypnotherapy, mediumship, all that sort of stuff.
Wow. Well, first of all, you totally threw me for a loop when you said you're middle-aged, because I would have guessed 30 tops. So maybe you guys don't live as long in Australia.
It's my 50th birthday this year.
No, that's impossible. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well done. You've got some sort of beautiful regimen that's keeping you aglow.
Soap and water and the angels. Archangel Michael likes to say that the more that you work with your energy, it shows in your skin and your hair and your aura. And so, yeah, soap, water, and Archangel Michael is my beauty routine.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that's amazing. It's working well. Because I think that for a lot of people, I think for across the board, humanity, fear is such a big thing. And not everybody is getting their fear from, the other side necessarily. Sometimes it's very grounded in what they fear. But I think that for so many people, that is this weight that they're carrying around they may not even realize. And dealing with the fear when it comes to like perceived demons and darkness, dark spirits, dark entities, I can see how that would be frightening. So how did you heal the fear and kind of move through that?
So it's a daily process, because we are humans and we have thoughts. And so every single thought we have can either be a thought about I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or I'm worried, or I can't control this aspect, or have I done this, and a lot of judgment. And so in every single thought, we have an element of darkness, because we have to, we're all alchemists. We're all learning to transform our thoughts into things. And the first thing we have to understand is our own emotional body and our own mental body, and understand that with every single thought we have a choice, and sometimes it feels like we don't have a choice. And so I guess right now every single person in the world has valid fears. You have a different political climate in America to Australia. We're very relaxed and down to earth Aussies. We're not so invested in our politics. We haven't needed to be. We've had a very stable country. And so I guess for me, the journey with spirituality has been saying you're allowed to understand these fears. But like Elizabeth Gilbert says in many of her books, don't let fear be the driver. Don't let fear drive the car. You're in the car. Fear has to come along, because otherwise, you might cross the road and step right in front of traffic and be dead. And they're like, don't do that. We've got a job here for you to do. But look this way, look for the beauty. And that's what I've been doing specifically in sessions with Archangel Zadkiel, is taking people to see the happiest moments of their soul, because what that does is it shows people what your soul considers as characteristics, thoughts, behaviors, and actions that you have done in many incarnations, in many dimensions, in many locations, such as different planets, and on Earth, that give you a kick, give you that joy, and most importantly, give you the peace, and don't give you the fear. And the interesting thing is that shows us also how sometimes we do something in this lifetime and we resist it. And we think, oh, I don't like this aspect of myself. But when you can be shown how that aspect of yourself that you think is too overbearing, too judgmental, too methodical, too much, your too muchness, may be an aspect of yourself in another incarnation where they had a task-based incarnation. So here on Earth, we have free will, but we choose to come in to experience things. But in other locations, they have specific incarnations that are task-based, so they don't have free will. And so in those incarnations where they are task-based, they get really super good at that task. And they, if you wanted to put an emotion around it, feel very happy and joyful that they can complete that task. And there's that aspect in you as well. So it can reflect that aspect in your own personality. And you think, I don't know why I'm like that. I'm going to resist that. I don't want to be like that. But when they show you the aspect, the avatar of you in the other lifetime doing the job, that is what they love doing, it makes sense to you. So for example, to give you an example, I went to, because I do all my sessions as well, I hire somebody who I train to do the same scripts that I use. And I went to a spaceship.
And this was under hypnosis?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Where I had a space suit on. And the first thing that I came to was my legs over the edge of the spaceship. And I was just threw myself in and went down into the planet. And my job was basically to check the planet, because I work with a team in this incarnation, which is right now, like all incarnations are, where our job is to monitor the health of the planet. If the planet is about to naturally destruct because all the sentience is ready to move off the planet, then there are a task force of people who use, like, the way my mind has saw it is like big screens with sonars, and it's obviously not this way, but imagine this, a sonar that's scanning the tectonic plates, all the land, and they're looking for stuck energy of any form, but most importantly, stuck sentience. And so we go in and we rescue anything that is stuck, and we make sure that every single being that is like a humanoid or whatever the avatar suit kind of being that they are, is on a spaceship to get out of that planet before it destructs. Because what happens is the layers move away, and there's always a beautiful being inside of the planet, like people call Mother Gaia. It's like Mother Gaia inside. I see her in every planet as like a human, because that's the way my mind sees it, and she's curled up inside, and she's got all gases and protection around her, and each layer of every planet is sentience, and so we have to remove every layer to make sure that when the planet deconstructs, there's nothing left. And sometimes there are wars, you know, some planets are in duality and, you know, you miss it, but we race in to help. And so in this scene that I saw, I came onto the planet, and there was another astronaut being there. So it was also a task base being who is just pure light inside the astronaut suit. And he has I had a robot dog with me to sniff out for gases, and this astronaut is holding a baby. And he's like, there should be no baby on this planet. Why am I here holding a baby? And so I said to him, this doesn't make sense. Why are you here? Why aren't you on the ship? Because that ship's gone. Everything should be off this planet. And he said, well, this lady here, who's died now, she just gave birth. This shouldn't happen on this planet, because she had to order a baby. It's not like on Earth where you have a baby gestated for 9 months. It's a different system on that particular planet. She ordered the baby arrived. She ordered it because she had this false notion that the planet wasn't going to explode. She was in denial. So she had the baby just as the ship was about to leave. And so the humanoid form of astronaut said, well, I can't put a dead body on this ship because it will freak everybody else out. And I've got a baby, and I don't think this baby can go on the ship, and I'm stuck. And so that's where I come in, and I take them both back to this ship. But the moral of the story and how that links into anything is that when I am doing tasks and setting out procedures, sometimes it freaks me out, because I'm like, no, that's the me of high school. I don't need to be like that, and I've resisted it. But they showed me doing a job where I had checklists and tasks, and it functioned perfectly. But they showed me how, in one incarnation that is infinite, I have chosen to be a being who rescues stuck energy, which is what we call a ghost in Earth.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I'm a ghost rescue medium here, because I've learned to connect not only to myself and my mediumship and all the different clairs, but I have learned to channel my own avatars.
Wow. That's fascinating. Just the different levels and layers and depths of where it goes and how it moves out, beyond this, even beyond this planet, because you've already talked about the different incarnations on the planet and your role in the military and in royalty and all of that across time, which, like you say, is also happening now. But then also these other, like, non-earthly lives that even have a different mode, like they're not even free will, like it's just even a different system. So that's incredible.
Yes,
Wow.
so to summarize that for you, that's how these sessions and how I see fear as being helpful to an extent, is that you can examine the fear that you're facing, which might be, I don't want to deal with ghosts. And then your soul keeps prodding you and says, you're really good at this. Can you get to the other side of fear and you will find happiness? Look this way, work through your fear, do what you have to do. As you can see, my background, for those of you who are watching this, is covered with my photos. Photography is how I find stillness in nature and how I calm myself. And it is also how I've accidentally ended up in graveyards and learned how to cross ghosts over as part of it. So, look this way, look that way, walk through the fear to get to the other side, and you'll find happiness, joy, and peace. So my summary for people is, if you have fear, check for the wisdom within it, because on the other side of that, you will find courage, you will find bravery, you'll find joy, and then you'll come back to neutrality, which is the base state that we want. And here on Earth, we are working along with the Galactic Federation to ensure that we all, if you like to use the word ascend or increase your vibration, we have to move through fear and not let it be our dominant, predominant driving seat emotion. And they want us to go through to what we are meant to be, which is joy, peace, happiness, abundance, prosperity, true wealth. But we can't do it while all of us are still creating drama and chaos and wars, or we're still reincarnating time after time after time to act out our karma, because karma is a reality, but it's a construct of the mind. And so when we work with our mind and we understand our spiritual bodies and all of the different elements in it, we can say, okay, I get that karma is a reality. I have to be aware of my behaviors and emotions. And I get that I may be acting out of a fear or a behavior because of a past life, that I need to heal that. But I can also stop this and say, enough. We have done this cycle 27 times. I've reincarnated to do this action so many times. It's time to stop. Let's not go through this again. Let's understand on the other side, it's all okay. That person doesn't hate you anymore. You're there for spiritual growth. But stop reincarnating to the same hotspots, to continue wars, to keep fighting with the same person. Learn how to forgive yourself and others whilst you're alive, and do that through your mind and through any energy healing techniques, regression sessions, or whatever it is, whatever your jam is, so that when you die with peace and neutrality, and you go straight to the light. You see the angels, and you don't hold yourself in this holding state for eons, so that people like me don't have to come and find you when the planet's ready to blow up.
Which hopefully is a very long time for our planet.
That's
Hang
right.
in there, Mother Gaia. Come on. Well, thank you for that. It's really fascinating, the depth, and there's a whole thing with integration and parts of ourselves and parts of us being frozen that we could go down. So maybe, you'll come back another time and we can explore that, because I want to get to the angels, because that is so fascinating. So you've mentioned Archangel Zadkiel, is that right? And Michael. Let's start with Zadkiel. I'd love to know, one, if you can describe who that is. Is it different from Zadkiel? I'm familiar with Archangel Zadkiel.
So I don't know how other people pronounce him. Zadkiel to me is pronounced that way.
I wonder if it's the same. I don't,
Yes,
because I don't know.
He's the angel of mercy and courage. He works along with Michael. Again, you call him Michael, I call him Michael. Zadkiel works with the purple ray, the violet flame, and he assists with spirit releasement. So because I do spirit releasement therapy, he comes in and assists with Michael. When he is depicted in the various religions, so Michael has the great sword, whereas Zadkiel has the dagger. So Zadkiel is a lesser known. They make me laugh because they represent themselves pictorially to me in very special ways. So, and they tell me that you can see angels in any representation that is akin to the way your personality likes to see and interact with people. So, I have a very serious nature, but I also have a very jokey, sarcastic sometimes nature. And so when they present to me, they show themselves as two distinct characters. So Archangel Michael is shown to me in either one of two ways. Which one is the traditional way that they have him on churches, the golden boy, you know, the glamour pin-up poster boy. He's a beautiful one. Everyone's in love with him. Everyone always calls, "Oh, Michael, help me, help me." And he's, you know, like if he was on Tinder, he'd be the number one that everyone was swiping and wanting to have the date with, you know. That's Michael. He's our golden boy. Everyone loves him. And Zadkiel just like rolls his eyes and he's like, "What about me? I'm beautiful, I'm strong, I'm courageous, I'm just as good as him, but nobody knows me." And Zadkiel,
He needs a PR campaign.
That's right, he needs a PR campaign. And I think that's what I'm here to do, is his PR campaign. He shows me in the form, and I only got this actually from being on another podcast when he showed me a really just strong, distinct flash of how he has shown me through the ages that he's tried to interact with me. And he shows me how he showed me in Roman times, which is him in a Roman warrior battle suit, you know. And he says to me, "Oh, God, Katish, I tried so hard to get you to see me in all of those Roman lifetimes so that you would stop the pattern of being the warrior, the conqueror, the killer, Romans were disgusting. They're great. They're fabulous. They're fascinating. My son's obsessed with them, and he's about to do a degree in ancient history with Latin studies on top of it. Wow. So I'm totally in the Roman world with him. But to be in the thick of being a Roman wasn't a nice experience. You know, we've all seen Gladiator and all the different movies. It's gory. It's not happy. It's brutal. Anyway. And he said, "I tried to show you so many times to come to the light in those incarnations, but we just couldn't get you. We even tried Michael, and Michael said, 'Rightio, your turn to try.'" So they make me laugh because they're like, "We're this team that's been around you all the time, and you finally, in a female incarnation, we got you because you fell in love with Michael. You went to all places."
Like you fell for it.
Fell for it. We're like, "We did it. We sent you boyfriend's name, Michael."
Right.
Yeah,
is it left? Right. Which one is the?
Yeah, I don't know. We sent you to a place in France called Mont Saint Michel, to go there to get Michael
in a different incarnation. You mean?
No, earlier in this lifetime.
Okay.
Everywhere I've travelled in this lifetime, everywhere has been linked to a past life.
Oh wow.
Yeah, everywhere. So they send me so many signs about Michael, boyfriends, uncles. Visiting places with a name there, or places that were linked to his energy, and so he was the first guide that came through for me as well. So one of the first guides that came through, and then he came through in regression sessions. So I would have clients in the middle of the session who would go to the healing areas, and they would say, "Oh, Archangel Michael's got a message for you," and then I'd be like, "All right," and they're like, "Well, he's just put on a suit." It's like from Singing in the Rain, the old black and white movie, Fred Astaire. He's wearing a suit with tails and a top hat, and he's just taken his top hat off and bowed to you, which was, "We're done. Healing's done." And then the more the same people came back, the more the banter would come from Michael about, because I like to banter. So I'd be like, in spirit releasement therapy, I was, to start with, using the angels too much. And I'd say, okay, client, can you check this area here? Can you see the energy? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? And I might get stuck in the early days. And I'd be like, Archangel Michael, can you come in and help? And the client would be in hypnosis and they'd go, no, he says, do it yourself. Or I'm going now, you know the answer. He has been there to help me with the intuition. So he's more of a buddy, a friend role. And now he's come in so many times and said, I'm going now. And I've like burst into tears. You can't leave me, Michael. It's like, I'm trying to get you to work with Zadkiel. And you need to learn how to communicate and bring in Zadkiel's energy. I can't help you do that. You have to do that for yourself. So then I was more afraid of Zadkiel's energy because he was an unknown entity to me. And I was like, I know the signature of Michael, like everybody does. And they're like, well, you just need to go through the same process as you do with your spirit guides to learn to trust them and learn to check their energy so that you can be sure of who they are and how you're going to work with them. So yeah, Zadkiel and I, and Zadkiel and humanity, we're all still developing our relationship with him because we all are too reliant on our little angel books that say, call this angel for this service at this time with this prayer, they come with this color. They're like, if you take off our angel suit that you people see, we're just energy. Mm-hmm. We have some connection with you in different ways, which means when you use us and call us specifically, we can help you faster because you're used to that. But we can be called upon for anything as long as you just go with the angel's name or the archangel's name that comes to the top of the mind or to the top of your tongue immediately. That's the angel that resonates at that moment. They will bring that ray of healing if that is required. Otherwise, don't worry about it. You don't need that little book that tells you what angel they are. Just remember, ask for help. And I'm useless at asking for help. So I'm getting better at it. And you just heard my own limiting belief come out there, and I'm useless at asking for help. But the more I ask for help and the more I say, Zadkiel, please work with me today. Please teach me about something that you have been trying to teach me and let me open my heart so that you can come through. Then the happier and more joyful I feel. And the more I realize the wisdom of my soul rather than just getting stuck in the wisdom of Katish.
Thank you for that. That's fascinating. And when, I'll go back to my question with the Zadkiel because I find it fascinating that you're like, I didn't know anything about Zadkiel because he's lesser known and I was more focused on Michael. And, but it was similar to me. I'd never heard of Zadkiel until I had a Gene Keys reading. And then I think it was are you familiar with the Gene Keys?
No, I'm not, sorry.
It's similar to it's like a take on human design, if you've heard of human design.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like part human design, part I Ching. And it is this system that uses your birth date, and it's got like these codons, and it's got like the kind of these, I can't remember if they're like 7 or 9 or 11 keys, and they are numbers between 1 and 64, and they basically like kind of map out your personality. Some things are like more subconscious, some things are related to like the first 7 years, and then there are other things that might be more on the surface that are between like 7 and 14 years, and then so it's complicated, but it's also like fascinating for me, where I was like, oh my gosh, this is so relevant. But I had a reading with Gene Keys, and I think it was Gene Key 25, which I think is universal love. And I think if that's the one, but anyway, one of them that I have, there was a connection with Zadkiel. And so the person who gave me the reading, with people who are familiar with Gene Keys have maybe heard of Peter Tung, who is very connected with the Gene Keys, but he sent me this meditation on Zadkiel, and I don't hear about him otherwise. It's just because I did this meditation and there seemed to be this important connection. with this gene key that I have, and like where it sits in my chart is important. And so I always, like when I start each meditation, I invoke like my higher self, my Christed self, you know, my, like all the layers of myself. And then also I call them my team, you know, and it's like the angels and archangels, but I'll, you know, specifically invoke Michael and Zadkiel and Gabriel and Raphael. But, so
It's sounding to me like it could be one and the same, because, you know, it sounds like it's even spelt the same, and, you know, different religious contexts, different languages, different ways of expressing the alphabet, they do change the letters around. And as they say to me, we don't really have a name anyway, you know, that's just you humans putting that name on you. So if it says in your keys to work with that energy that's called Zadkiel for you, then that resonates for you, so go with it, because that's the true expression. Does it resonate? Yes, we'll go with it. If it doesn't resonate, then don't. So yeah. Plus, I'm an Aussie, you know, we say things quite harshly. We have different kind of a harsh accent. So,
you've got a great accent.
Maybe that's just the way Zadkiel comes through for me, because he's like, yeah, she's got a bit of Aussie accent. We'll just pronounce it this way.
Yeah, maybe there's something like with Hebrew versus English, or, you know, I don't know, but I bet
that would be it.
Yeah. So it's fascinating, because when your information came across my desk, so to speak, seeing that was like, it's because it's seeing Zadkiel where I'm like, whoa, I never see any reference to Zadkiel, it would be for me. And it's like, okay, you've got my attention, you know, because this is, and it's kind of like this same thing for both of, like, you're echoing my story of like, I don't really know much about this. I never hear about it and so forth, but it kind of came to me. And so it's really fascinating. I love that reflection.
Yeah, so go with it. And I mean, for me, in order to build up trust with him, he said to me, turn on the camera, so meaning my internet camera, and just open your heart, which took a long time for me to learn energy, to actually go, right, I'm going to now open the heart energy, because my heart was really quite blocked with trauma from past lives and relationship energy that I had to heal before I could get to this heart access, right? So look into the camera, wait. He showed me the quadrants on how to identify where the archangel energy is. If you're going to do a check, like a mediumship check, you know, you can also throw salt at them, and, you know, if it's a real being, they will laugh at you, they'll put up an umbrella, they will do a dance or whatever. If
like in your mind's eye, you throw salt? Mm-hmm. Oh,
yep.
Okay.
That's how you tell a negative entity or a fake spirit guide, because there are plenty of fake archangels and fake angels. And if you throw salt at them, they will dissolve.
Oh, the
fake
being
ones
will
dissolve. Yep, the fake being. If you throw salt at them and they're a real archangel or a real spirit guide, they will just laugh their heads off. We do this in the regression sessions to teach people about fake versus real spirit guides. But we also have to understand that all energy is used in service both in the light and the dark. And so if you see a being come towards you that looks similar to a normal being that you would work with, but it's the dark, you can throw salt at them and they will dissolve completely and go to the light, because it's an aspect of your fear that's coming up. Or you can just say, stop. What? Don't come any closer. What are you trying to tell me? What is urgent? Because you've come into my territory, so you're reflecting something that's in my heart or in my aura. What is the urgent wisdom? What is the urgent fear that is coming through? And let us clear it now. And the other way that I've learned to do this is, imagine if you had a packet of pills, I don't know, vitamin pills or an antibiotic or whatever. And this kind of sounds a bit graphic, but imagine if you see this fear coming up or this being coming up, and you visualize it as a blister pack pill that you're about to pop to take the pill out. So instead of letting it pop and come out and swallowing the negative pill, you can shine the ray of light onto that pill, and it will go back into your system, and it will have dissolved all of the fear energy, and then you will see it physically in your third eye blast out as a ray of bright white light. So it's like if your blister pack is full of worries or fears or sadness or guilt, then the beings in the dark will come towards you. And if you're too afraid of them, you can don't pop the blister pack, but push it down physically with your mind's eye, and it will dissipate into your own energy, into your own white light that runs through you, and then burst out into and join the divine white light beings. So you're doing an internal rescue yourself. And that's what Zadkiel has been teaching me as well, is let's work through topics and things that you want to channel. I didn't think I had relationships with animals very much in this lifetime until I had all these animals come through in a mediumship session, and I realized the distinct spiritual lessons that animals have been doing with me for all lifetimes. And so when I first started channeling Zadkiel, and he said, turn the camera on, we went straight to animals. And so I did a season on my podcast, which was the channeling about Archangel Zadkiel, and it was all about animals and things about animals in my life that I didn't even realize, and I couldn't consciously tell you. But when I was channeling him, he would come through, and some of the things he would say, I was like, I didn't know we were going to say that. And he's like, well, you have been a vessel of showing your own past life regressions on your own podcast. You've showed some of the most horrendous things that we've seen in history on the sessions on your podcast quite publicly. So if I tell you something that's the truth and the wisdom about an animal that was a shared animal in your marriage with your ex-husband, and you see the light about something that you were negative about, that you were blaming him for, and I've just publicly told you on a podcast, this is the neutrality, this is the real truth of the situation, that animal was there in service to both of you, then you can stop blaming your ex-husband for taking that dog away, because the dog was healing him. And I'd be like, oh, yes, sir. Okay, I grew a little bit in that as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that's how I have been learning with the channeling. You know, I'm no basher or, you know, any of the greats in the channeling world. I'm learning small bits at a time, and we've started with animals and worked our way forward there, because he's allowing me to grow through learning about myself, and he knows that I trust him enough to know that if he brings through something, it's for the betterment of myself or of humanity. And usually it's a fear I have to overcome as well. So Stay tuned. It's evolving. It's like in its early stages.
Well, what I appreciate so much as we've been talking is this embracing all aspects of what shows up for us, because it can be really easy in this type of, like in spiritual work, and I don't mean just people who have spiritual occupations, but like the work that everybody is doing spiritually to advance their soul. It can be hard to let it, we can be afraid of letting in the dark. And there is so much wisdom, there is so much opportunity that comes when this darkness presents itself and when we can integrate it. And we all have these aspects of ourselves, whether it's from past lives, off-planet lives, or our own history, our own personal incarnation that we're living right now that we're aware of. I've just been having something in my own life in the last week or so that it was a repressed memory that just came up, and I was like, how did I forget this? I completely blanked it out. I completely swallowed this thing that had happened, and it just showed itself like just randomly, where I was like, I really was gobsmacked that I had forgotten this. And immediately when it came in, I was like, oh, don't look at that. My inclination was like, forget it again. Like, forget it immediately. There's nothing good that's going to come from that. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's interesting. Why do I want to stuff that away and turn away from it again? Like, what's here? Why is it showing up right now? What is here for me? And it was like, I know there's medicine in here. And it's been this tool to help me integrate this fear that, I mean, it was this me frozen at that age with the circumstances that I went through, and not wanting to feel the things and not wanting to acknowledge it, but it had never been acknowledged. So, but there's so much healing and integration and completeness, like wholeness. We get back to our ability to be whole through that. And then there's a psychological, like a psychiatry method called internal family systems. And that has like come in at it's basically parts work. It's like soul fragments. Mm-hmm. And that came into my awareness at the exact same time that all this was going on. And I'm like, oh my God, even in the psychology world, they've got this tool, this method that is doing this. So I was getting hit from like all these different ways. And it's been so illuminating. But I know like that this, again, just going back to my initial reaction of like, no, there's nothing good that's going to come from that. It's dark. I don't want to feel that. I want to feel good. But it was like in service to my highest good, it was important to not be afraid of it and to say like, there's something here for me. And the alchemy that comes from being courageous and being compassionate with ourselves and kind of holding the darkness when it comes up, it's a real opportunity. So I love these echoes. Like there have just been so many different ways in the conversation that you've woven in the opportunity that we have with the darkness that comes through. So that's really beautiful.
Yeah, and I think it illustrates perfectly that you are given what you're ready for to heal in layers. The old onion adage is exactly right. You will be able to heal and efface the fear only in proportion to what you're ready for. So if it has to be done over several years, several lifetimes, whatever, it will be done that way. If you have made great progress and found tools and practitioners and books and podcasts that will give you additional bravery and courage, then you'll be given a greater dose. But you'll never be given, because your higher self is always there on your side, you'll never be given something that is too much for you to get through. And if it is too much, reach out to Zadkiel, mercy and courage.
Beautiful. Well, you just put a bow on everything. I love it. So Katish, tell us how people can find out more about you and connect with your work.
Sure. The best place is to go to my website, which is just katish.com. So KATISCHE.com. That has all my socials. I'm not on very many. And it has my link to my podcast. So that's the best way.
Beautiful. And what's the name of your podcast?
It's called The Infinite Life with Katische Haberfield.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. This has been really, really beautiful. I've loved every moment.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you for listening to this episode of Soul Elevation. Please take a moment to think about someone in your life who might be uplifted or have their curiosity sparked by this content and send it on to them. Let's keep sharing high-frequency, empowering content to reinforce the highest potential for humanity. I also invite you to subscribe to this content. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you for the next episode of Soul Elevation.